Hello YouTube. Today we're going to do resin casting with EasyFlo 660, and it's a two-parter, of course. I've already pre-measured it up. It's about 3.80 ounces in each one. This is a 1-to-1, even though it says 100 to 90 on it. I've looked at some research from Biddy, and they were saying they were saying it's 1-to-1. So I've already tried one and it seemed to work, but I'm going to do it from the start here. After pre-measuring with my scales, you zero out the cup and you pour it in and measure it. And now what I'm going to do is I want to change the color of this. It'd be better if this was a clear resin, but I don't have clear resin. I have this, so we're going to do it. What I'm going to do is add the dye. This is brown because I'm casting a werewolf. It's not, the maximum you should do is 1% on this, on the color. So we're going to mix it up. And that's what's recommended, is just 1% is the maximum. You know, at that point you could add extra oil to it, or it could affect some of your painting on it ability, putting too much on there. But it's going to be brown anyways. Even though this looks really dark, the resin turns out is like white. So it takes a lot to change, and this is just going to make it more tan than anything. If you really want brown, you'd have to go clear on this. I almost should put more in here, but I won't do that. Oh, what the heck, I will. Put a little more. But I don't put too much in there. And this is I'm mixing it in part B on my cups. So this is a part B. Okay. Once we do this, we have to move quickly, but before I mix them, one thing I need to do is I'm going to pour baby powder in the mold. And what this will do, I'm going to use compressed air, blow it out. Okay, and at this point, it will create texture on the mold, or on the casting when you pull it out, which will make it easier for paint to stick to. And now we're going to mix the two cups together. And at this point we have about 2.5 minutes. So here it goes. I'm going to scrape as much as I can out on it. Get it in there. And we're going to start mixing it off. First, I'm going to also put a rubber glove on. Scrape the sides really good, and the bottom. And now what I'm going to do is pour it back in this cup. That way we make sure we get as much even usage out of A and B. Scrape it really good together. Give it another mix or two. Scrape the sides again. Now we're going to pour. Kind of hold it up high, pour it, try to pop the air bubbles. Let it fill up. I'm getting it past the point of the ears so I can see the resin actually flow into the tip of the ears. I'm going to tilt it and move it around, make sure we get the air bubbles out of the ears. And at this point, once I get it full enough, you know, don't want to get too hot, I'm going to get my finger and I'm going to rub it around the face, around the eyes, and it's starting to get warm. Nose, mouth. I'm just going to try to work out all the air bubbles on its face, and around the hair and everything else. I can feel it getting really warm. So we'll go ahead and pour the rest of it in. And don't worry if you spill some on the side of this mold, because in a minute I will explain why. Resin tends to cure in the thickest part first. It doesn't cure on the edge first. It's a chemical reaction, and that biggest volume area is where it likes to form first. It will turn white. So to test and see when it's full, when this outside area that's spilt on here winds up turning white, then you know it's done solid through there. But this should turn white here in real time here, really quick. I'll hold it right here. It doesn't take long for it to settle, and it's going to start from the thickest area, the deepest area first. And there it goes, it's starting to change. It's the deepest up here in this area, right down in there. And you can see it forming. And notice how this thin area that's spilt here has not turned. And that's how you'll know when it's really done, is because once this thin area turns white, then that's the thinnest area. That will tell you that your mold is cast. I recommend you get 30 minutes, and it's going to be so hot you don't really want to touch it for a while. But working sometimes with resin, if you use in small amounts, it's hard to get it to turn and set up. So it likes to work in volume. As you can tell, it's not as white as it could have been. I'll show you some samples in a minute because I put that dye in there. Let me show you the first one I cast. This was just a test one. I didn't put enough in there, but this is how white it is. Just cast in on that. Next one I did, it's still a little warm. I put some of the dye in there. It looks a lot better. Put a little more in there. Nothing there. This one's adequate. Now I can paint it and fix it up. And it's got like some texturing to it too. It's not smooth like on the back here. It's shiny smooth where it's flat. Nothing's going to really want to stick to that. So this right here, you can feel the heat coming off. But as you can tell, the little area on the thin top is starting to turn white on it. So once it's done and you can flake it off, then you know the mold is pretty much finished inside. And it does tend to get some small air bubbles on the backside, but that don't matter. But as by sticking your finger in there and move it around, you help remove the air bubbles on the surface. But that was a good cast right there. And the Nosferatu I did, it took me a couple of times to learn it. I measured it up so I'll know how much each one cast will take. This is a 3.80 of A and B mixed together. So that's 3.80 A, 3.80 B. So I'm going to write that down so whenever I know I have to cast a werewolf in the future, I'll know how much to cast. And same as on the Nosferatu, it didn't take as much. It only took about 320 of each. It's a little bit smaller head. And I still have to do the gill man too, so I'll have to do measurements on that. One way you can do is by pouring water into the mold and pour it out in a cup and weigh it on your scales here. And then you just divide that in half. And I have green dye for that. I may go get some, just what's called EasyFlo, which is a clear one. And it's actually a little tad bit thinner than this, but it works almost just as the same. And clear, the dye will dye it a lot easier. You don't have this kind of a mocha-ish looking color on it. But I'm still going to paint the werewolf brown and everything, so I'm going to have fun practicing on that. The Nosferatu also, that's going to be fun. And Gillman, I may get just a clear EasyFlo for it. just so I can make it really green. I'm probably not going to cast it in this resin, but it's a really solid resin, pretty hard on there. And these things look awesome just sitting on the table as a paperweight too. I might sell them as that also. I don't know about sticking a magnet to it though. It's kind of a little heavy, but it would make a good Halloween tree ornament. And I'm gonna do the same as the other ones. I'm gonna drill a hole in it. I've got this little eye ring I'm gonna put through there and glue it down there after I paint it, of course, and everything. And then I'll just hang it from the tree, well, like a Christmas tree ornament. Anyhow, you can see up here now, this whole area now has turned chocolate. And it's solid. And when on this particular, these resins, they're a little flexible and soft. And they are set up, but they're so flexible and soft. In about 30 minutes, this will be crispy and snap. And that's why you pretty much don't demold this. You can actually warp your mold if you pour it too soon, pull out too soon. Now these are pretty solid. The head's not going to really warp on these, but the ears you might do also, might warp or something. But after about 30 minutes, they come solid hard. So I'd go ahead and give it 30 minutes. Besides, the heat on this thing is really putting off there. It'll burn your hand or finger if you try to touch it. So. But anyways, that's this video I'm going to do on this one, and I'll do the Gilman eventually again, and maybe a different resin. But I will still use the same mold making material. Just have to go buy some more. Let me show you what I use, and I showed that on the other video. PlatSil 7111. It's also 1-to-1 on that, and it's I got these I think for like $24 I believe on that. It might have been the resin I'm thinking of on that for that, but I'll use like a Tupperware container. I'll put the head down there and just fill it up and let it. I usually let it set a couple of days. You don't have to. It sets in 4 hours. But I don't want to take that chance. I just set off side and do something else and come back. And this thing is rock solid, and it's very flexible. This stuff you can really flex and bend, and makes it really easy to get the mold out of. These I just grab it from the chin, from inside, and peel it out. That way the ears come right out. The ears come out with the flow. That way they don't dig into the mold. But this it's super flexible, and it's strong. It doesn't seem to tear. So if you're ever looking to get some, you can always contact Biddy Mo Supply. They're in Richardson, Texas. They're also called Brick in the Yard. It's their actual real name, but they have everything you need, and they have people there that can answer all your questions, what all kind of coloring you'd probably want to do. This is some of their color that they sell. And that's it for this video. And please like and subscribe. You never know, maybe I'll give away a set of these things here in the future once I get them made. But thank you, and have a good evening.